Hello EDH enthusiasts, welcome back to another video, and this video is a compilation of the full March of the Machines lore. This video was created by compiling multiple shorts, so it kind of is abbreviated. Elish Norn is victorious. Her Realm Breaker is spreading across the multiverse, infecting plane after plane. But the Mother of Machines had another problem to deal with. She summoned a Johnny. They had a treasonous Shieldred to defeat, and a Johnny defeated Shieldred quickly. Elish Norn has Nissa use her magical powers to manipulate the Realm Breaker across the multiverse to whichever plane she wants to go to. Luca is sent to destroy Ikoria, his home. He plans to complete the giant beasts there, who will help him to ravage the plane. Tamio is sent to Kamigawa, but she is hesitant to complete the plane because her family and friends still live there. That's until Elish Norn reminds her Phyrexia is her family now. A Johnny goes to Theros to complete the gods, and Atraxa goes to Capenna to stop the flow of Halo. Phyrexia is unstoppable. Chandra hated waiting, and so did her friends Liliana and Ren. They had watched all of their friends head off to New Phyrexia. If they didn't receive word in 2 weeks, they were to assume the worst. Chandra remembers how Jaya used to teach her to control her inner fire, so she tries to help Ren to learn the same techniques. But remembering the Fallen is too hard. The alarm sounds, telling them that Planeswalkers have returned, but it only sounds 3 times. Most of their friends didn't make it. Kaido, Kaya, and Tyvar are the only 3 Planeswalkers who returned. They tell Chandra and Liliana about the fate of their other friends. Chandra cannot believe that Elspeth was destroyed, or at least brought somewhere in the multiverse, unknown to them. And when she finds out Nissa was completed, she's destroyed. Tamio looked out across the devastation of her home world, Kamigawa. She can hear and see people being completed all around her as the Phyrexians invade. Tamio stands on top of Boseiju and begins to unravel her scrolls. The scrolls grant her more magical power, and she's able to mostly destroy Boseiju. Kaido arrives on his homeworld of Kamigawa as well, and Kaya joins him. Kaya knows that Ravnica needs help too, but she knows that Raul and Teo are working together to help protect Ravnica. Kaya does not believe that the Wanderer will help them. She believes that the Wanderer is too chaotic and can't be trusted. Nashi, Tamio's son, joins them in the battle. They try to reason with Tamio, but Tamio won't listen, so the Wanderer cuts her down. Tamio reappears in some sort of spirit form and tells her last story. A woman in white will stop the Phyrexians. Saheeli is home on Kaldesh, and with her friend Pia, they are trying to defend the Aetherflux Reservoir from the Phyrexians. They get the help of the Consulate, but the Consulate's flagships are quickly taken down. If Saheeli can't defend the reservoir, then Kaldesh will fall. Tyvar arrives on his homeworld, Kaldheim, and sees that his brother is already battling the Phyrexians. The usual enemies on Kaldheim band together, but things go dark when they realize Coma has been completed. Atraxa does her work on Capenna and destroys as many of the Halo supplies as she can find. Thank you. Quintorius and his friends were lost. The group of 5 students at the Strixhaven School of Mages were trying to find a way to save their home. Arcavios was being attacked by the Phyrexians, and they had no hope left. Except for one thing, Quintorius had learned of a spell that it would unleash the power of the 5 Elder Dragons of Arcavios, and maybe it would save them. The group got directions from an animated statue of a former headmaster, and they soon found the Biblioplex. When they arrived at the Biblioplex, they realized that all of their former professors had become completed and were now against them. Quintorius leads his friends to the center of the Biblioplex, where they find the spell they're looking for. It takes the form of a large flower, and each of them take a petal and begin to recite the incantation that's on their section. They finish casting the spell, and Phyrexians stop pouring through the portal. After the spell, Quintorius is missing, and Professor Onyx tells his friends that his spark has ignited. On Ikoria, things were looking bad. Dranith was destroyed, and General Kudro had to lead the remaining people on a quest against the Phyrexians, but they had no home and little supplies. The people of Ikoria's greatest hope was Vivian, their ally, who was trying to stop Luca from his rampage across the plain. Meanwhile, Luca was eating everything he could get his hands on and getting bigger and bigger with everything he ate. General Kudro and the people of Dranith are attacked by Phyrexians on their trek. Luckily, the beasts of Ikoria have grown rock-like structures that protect them from the oil, and a bonder is able to help them. Vivian fails to beat Luca the first time, but is able to lead him to the rendezvous point between her and the Dranith. The rendezvous point is Vadrok's nest. When Luca arrives, Vadrok eats him, and Luca is gone forever. Ixalan was already at war when the Phyrexians showed up. Huatli and the Sun Empire were launching their own invasion when the Phyrexians arrived, and it forced them to ally with their enemies to fight them off. Things are looking bad for the people of Ixalan. They've had to join together, and Huatli calls the primal elder dinosaurs of the plain to come help them fight off the Phyrexians. While waiting for their dinosaur friends, Huatli takes the group to the winged temple of Arajka. Hopefully they can get some help from the threefold sun. The first of the primals to arrive is Atali, and he's been completed. He uses his lightning magic to battle against Huatli and her friends. All hope seems lost until the remaining primal elder dinosaurs arrive. They begin to battle, but Atali and the Phyrexians are still winning. That's until Zakama shows up. Zakama and Atali duke it out on the steps of Arajka. Phyrexia is finished, and Ixalan has won. Chandra and Ren arrived on New Phyrexia. Chandra was trying to destroy the Realmbreaker before it could go any further, and Ren was going to bond with it to help her destroy it. They soon found their ally Koth and his resistance fighters. Koth took them and his army to meet Urabrask, and Urabrask gave them a way to reach the World Tree. When they arrive, Chandra is horrified by what Nissa has become, and she's there waiting. They begin to battle, and Chandra and Ren are winning. That's until Elish Norn and her army arrives. They shred Seven, Ren's bonded tree folk, and she is left without legs. Elish Norn has captured even more planeswalkers to add to her army. Elspeth awoke in a place she didn't recognize. A voice she did not recognize spoke to her. Then Elspeth came to her senses. She was home with her mother. Elspeth's mother prompted her to rejoin the fight and began to show her many different scenes. Elspeth watched Atraxa destroy New Capenna and asked if she should go there, but her mother cautioned against it. She then saw Daxos on Theros, where Ajani was completing the gods. She asked if she should go there, but her mother just continues with the visions. Then Elspeth saw a foggy version of Chandra, as well as a clear version of Ren and a clear version of Nissa. She knew this was where she was meant to go, to defeat Elish Norn and help Ren and Chandra complete their previous plan. Elspeth said goodbye to her mother, then stepped through a portal into New Phyrexia. Urabrask was on a table, and he was ripped apart by Elish Norn for his treachery. Then, with a flash of light, Elspeth arrived on the plain, now with magnificent wings as she had ascended to her true angel form. The defeated and trapped planeswalkers were filled with hope. Elspeth made quick work of the Phyrexians defending them, then proceeded to destroy Elish Norn and Jin Gitaxias. Elspeth had become the woman from both Elish Norn and Atraxa's nightmares, the one that would stop the Phyrexians. But there were more planes in need of her help, and they weren't quite done on New Phyrexia yet. Giza was bored. After moving from her old home, she had nothing to do. Of course, watching her zombie minions pick apart the ruins of the ancient angel temple was exciting sometimes. She wanted to have a game night with her brother Geralf. After inviting Geralf over, Phyrexians stormed the beach near her home. She sent her zombies to stop them, but she thought the Phyrexians were a trick of Geralf's. Geralf knows that these are no zombies, though. He knows that they are Phyrexian, and warns Giza of touching the oil. Giza continues to hold off the Phyrexians with her zombie horde, and Geralf begins to add his help to the fray. Geralf makes some very large zombies, which are able to help a lot in the fray, but the Phyrexians are still relentlessly pushing. Giza summons a giant undead kraken from the bottom of the ocean, but because it's not built for land, it can't help very much. Geralf gives the kraken suitable legs, and it stomps out the rest of the Phyrexians. Rankle had been kicked out of his group in the forest. His wings had been damaged, and his friends had deserted him. He left the forest on foot and had to walk down the path in loneliness. That's when he saw Castle Lochthwain. On the castle, he saw a parade of all the knights, and then he saw her. Ayara, the first of Lochthwain. After seeing her, he was immediately in love with her, and immediately ran to the nearest town to try and find a love potion. After Rankle bought the love potion, he noticed several differences in Eldraine around him. He got attacked by a Phyrexian dog, but was saved by Torbran, the Thane of Redfell. Rankle and Torbran teamed up, but Rankle betrayed Torbran, stealing his wishing ring and wishing for lots of love potion and some cookies too. Without the ring, Torbran's hopes had fallen, and as more of Eldraine was completed, it seemed there was nothing to do. Chandra carried Ren to the Realmbreaker. They were being attacked by Phyrexians from all sides, but thanks to Kot, they had metal shields to protect them. After Chandra collapsed from exhaustion, the rest of the Gold Warden carried Ren to the Realmbreaker. Ren connects herself to the Realmbreaker. Realmbreaker tries to complete her, but her force of will is too strong. Ren and Realmbreaker is born. Using the Realmbreaker's powers, Ren reached out across the multiverse, and she found where Teferi was hidden. While on Zhalfir, Ren is unable to manifest herself in a physical form, but a flaming spirit is able to convince Teferi and the armies of Zhalfir to come to New Phyrexia and help them to win. Vraska was leading the main Phyrexian attack force towards Ravnica. As they descended towards the city, she recognized a building and knew she had to attack it. As she watches that building, she has a flashback to what it means to her. It was where the Azorius and Boros had detained her and her fellow Golgari during the war. After destroying her former prison, Vraska is attacked by a Selesnya Colossus. Vraska flashes back to the War of the Spark and compares Nicol Bolas to the Phyrexians. Vraska enters her old apartment building, and she is reminded of all of the previous adventures she'd had. After leaving her apartment, Vraska is punched in the gut by Rahl, and she is given a vision. Vraska sees Jace, and neither of them are completed anymore. They talk about how they wish they could have a do-over. 2 days later, the invasion has ended, and Rahl is in charge of cleanup. He receives news that Vraska's body was never found. New Capenna was under attack, and Errant was one of the only uncompleted people at the time. She stayed safe by avoiding the main streets and using her back roads to get around. Her father, Anhelo, was not so lucky, and was completed shortly after the beginning of the invasion. Errant found her way back to the Resistance base. The Resistance was led by Henzi, Perry, and Camise. Atraxa was leading the invasion of Capenna, and the group knew that they had to kill her to be able to defeat the rest of the Phyrexians. The Riveteers laid their explosives around Park Heights, and the Brokers provided the halo needed for weapons. Using halo paint, the Resistance was able to stop some of the Phyrexians, and then using the explosives, they were able to collapse Park Heights on Atraxa, defeating her once and for all. Giada watched on as the Riveteers defeated Atraxa. After Atraxa was gone, Ren pulled the Realmbreaker and caused them to look on to New Phyrexia. Through the portals, Giada saw her old friend Elspeth in a new form and goes to fight with her. The angels of New Capenna blast in with a blast of halo. Meanwhile, the armies of Zhalfir have just arrived on New Phyrexia too, Teferi leading them. This has shifted the tide of the war in the non-Phyrexians' favor. The Resistance fighters subdue Nissa and Ajani, capturing them for later use. Then, Ren and Realmbreaker, with the help of Teferi, switch Zhalfir and Phyrexia's spot in the multiverse. And Karn makes peace with his pack's actions by destroying Elish Norn. Melira and Karn have a plan, but Koth knows it will cost his friend's life. Karn will use the last of Venser's spark and Melira the last of her energy to try and uncomplete Ajani and Nissa. Karn used Venser's power to remove their sparks and filter them through the spark of Venser. Teferi kept the sparks in stasis so they wouldn't fizzle, and Melira purified the sparks. Melira was dead, but there was still joy as Ajani and Nissa were now uncompleted and were back to the original selves. The end.